Yes, hello everybody. Good afternoon. I hope you are keeping safe. Welcome to the latest video here on Newcastle Fans TV. So today, thank you very much for joining us. I hope you are all keeping safe. As I mentioned there, welcome to the latest video. If you can smash that like button, you'll be helping us massively. We are going to be looking at this. I've got the camera pinned there, so we'll be checking up on. I've got the average positions according to WhoScored.com, and it's pretty alarming. I have to say that. You'll see it in a minute, but we've also got the virtual whiteboard coming up in just a second as well. Keep your comments coming. I'll read some of them out after each section of today's video. And as ever, I'll always say this. I think it's right to say it. Thank you very much for clicking on Newcastle Fans TV. Appreciate that. Thank you so much. And Wolfstone's in the comments saying, hi, Lee. Hope you and the rest are all right. Sam the man, we've got crucial games. Bruce needs to go if you want Premier League football next season. And he's also said that we are doomed as well. It's not great written for Newcastle. So I want us to check up on, because we've just played West Brom, who are effectively 19th in the league, and we couldn't beat Sheffield United. We couldn't beat Brentford. We struggled to beat Newport early on the season. And it's a common theme where we struggle. And we're getting out. I don't want to say we got outplayed against West Brom, because I don't feel that we did. I think a draw was pretty fair, but we should be beating these teams if we are going to be staying up. And we've got Aston Villa coming up, then a massive one, Brighton, after that as well. But what we're going to do first of all is we're going to jump on the virtual whiteboard, which I recorded about an hour ago. Back shortly. Okay, everybody. So let's get on it. Let's get on the virtual whiteboard. We're going to have a look at the players' heat maps during that dreadful 0-0 draw against West Brom on Sunday. I want to begin, first of all, with the two fullbacks, because there's a bit of a difference between, as you can see, Emil Kraft's heat map on the right-hand side. He was getting up and down that flank. However, if you look at the left-hand side, Paul Dummett is very defensive. He didn't get forward enough for me. But then if we take a look at our central midfield four of Hendrick, Willock, Shelvey and Hayden, Joe Willock in the second half didn't get forward as much, so we lacked a bit of goal threat. Jeff Hendrick was kind of playing the right midfield, so very strange not to see him in the centre of midfield. And then Isaac Hayden, strangely, over on the left-hand side, protecting Paul Dummett. And then even when we took Jeff Hendrick off the pitch, Dwight Gale barely got a look in anyway. And then if we compare the forwards, which is Ryan Fraser, who's predominantly on the left-hand side, but look at Joe Litton. A lot of his work was done on the right-hand side, leaving the striker free. And then we've got Aston Villa on Friday night. Guess who's set to return? Jack Grealish. More disaster coming for Newcastle fans? Let's hope not, because we've got to start winning games. We do want to be crying against Aston Villa on Friday night. So I've got a few questions for you for everybody who's watching. I want you to answer these in the comments down there below. How do you stop Jack Grealish? He's going to be coming down our right hand side, so it's either going to be Emil Kraft or Javier Manquillo. Do you double up? Do you bring Lewis back into the side so we can get further up the pitch on the left side? Because Paul Dummett was, as I say, very defensive. Although he did a great job, Paul Dummett, he's not going to get forward. What about with the midfield? Matty Longstaff just played 90 minutes on Monday night for the under-23s. Will he feature? Will he feature in your plans? And up top, we've got a massive problem. We aren't scoring goals. Who are you playing? The one thing that we can all agree on is that Steve Bruce needs that telephone call to tell him he's sacked from his job. This is not good enough for Newcastle. So I recorded that a couple of hours ago on the virtual whiteboard, which we're going to be using a lot more. So, yeah, your feedback for that has been absolutely fantastic. And we've got a few comments to rattle through before we jump onto this. Paul said, will we ever see Dwight Gale and or Andy Carroll? I mean, the Andy Carroll substitution was an absolute joke. It was a farce. Bringing him on in the 93rd minute, man, to waste time. Absolute joke that was. As I said, it's so alarming to be a Newcastle fan right now. I think we're going down. Everyone seems to be playing better football than us. I think we are playing. I don't think the West Brom was the game against West Brom was very good, but I think we are playing better than what we were early on the season. It's just now we've got to start turning their performances into results. We have to. Otherwise, we're going down. Because, yeah, Brighton and us are struggling big time at the moment, but Brighton play a hell of a lot better football than what we do. Even though our football is still better, Brighton still play a lot better than us, if that makes sense. And Fulham are winning games. I think Burnley will be fine. I really do. I think Burnley can get a result against some of the big teams because of the style of the football that we'll play. We're doomed. We're definite. Brucey Ball is awful, wasting our talent. Will we ever see Hendrick play? I think Kenny's been a bit sarcastic on that one as well. We have a inverted commas manager who doesn't seem to think strikers are unimportant when playing against one of the worst defences in the Premier League. When I was on the virtual whiteboard earlier on, I was doing a bit of research on that, and Joe Linton was over on the right-hand side, which left a gap for our striker where Callum Wilson would normally play, because Joe Linton is your striker, but he's hovering over on the right-hand side because Jeff Hendrick is meant to be there. Jeff Hendrick had barely seen the ball. So we're kind of like down to 10 men because we've got two wingers out on that side. And then Hayden was like covering Paul Dummett, which I didn't get. Why would Paul Dummett need reassurance in front of him from Isaac Hayden, which I've got here as well, by the way. Hayden literally played as a second left back effectively, which was bizarre. Paul Dummett doesn't need cover. I think Jamal Lewis does. But Paul Dummett's a fine centre back. He's an all right left back. I think he's Premier League level, just Paul Dummett. Defensively, I'm talking about, not going forward, but defensively, I think Paul Dummett is fine in the Premier League. Madness, man. We'll come on to that in a second, as I say. The way we are playing at the minute, we couldn't even beat a cold. Yeah, it's shocking at the moment as well at the minute. Afternoon. Hiya, Thomas, mate. I hope you're doing well. Stupid why sub in the last minutes. Man Markham, Jack Grealish. That's going to be a tough one, isn't it? The lads will talk about it later on this week in the preview. I think it's going to be Thursday night. Grealish is injured, Stephen, but he is rumoured to be back for this game. That's why I've got him in the graphic. So he could be back. That's why he's in there. Doubling up, Seth over on Twitch saying doubling up has worked with other teams, so why not Murphy and Manquillo, but Kraft cannot be anywhere near the team. Ollie just said, I'll take a draw at Brighton at this point. Just keep them there. And yeah, if we get beat, it's because Brighton will pull away, won't they? That's the must win for me. I don't want to draw against Brighton. I think we've just got to win that game. Who cares how we play? It's all about results now. It's not how we play. Well, Adrian, the reason why I brought that up, because you remember what Steve Bruce said, is that when Graham Jones came in, and he's contradicting himself again, because when he came in, Bruce was saying the results will come if we keep playing like the way we are. They're not. So they're not. We are playing better. West Brom was a shit game, but before that, the last 6 games, we were playing better than what we have been earlier in the season. They're just the results are not coming. We need to start picking up results. That's why I brought that up with Steve Bruce, because he's contradicting himself again. Might start watching the NHL, yeah, the National Hockey League. This is the worst season I've seen, and the club will never improve. We've got Mike Ashley's owner and Bruce's manager. Both of them don't have passion, pride, or fight in the body, which Fulham do at the minute. Fulham are playing for the shirt, which a lot of teams you've seen at the fan reaction show were quite worried about Fulham's form at the moment. Teams are laughing at us when they say the team sheet as well. And Footy Mad over on Twitch, thank you very much. We are trying to grow our Twitch platform. We are going down as well. Bring cabbages and we'll aim well. Yeah, funny enough, Cabbage was throwing it. Steve Bruce by Villa fans, which this one's a home fixture. What we're going to do, I'm going to switch the camera over on this screen. I'll just move that up a little bit, and I'm going to talk about. Let me just work this out, and I'll switch the cameras around. We're going to talk about the average player positions here. Right, hello. Right, so we've switched the camera angle, and we're looking at now. This is the average player positions, and this is according to WhoScored.com. So we can see Martin Dubravka, you've got the 2 centre-backs, Clark Lascelles, Emil Kraft, Paul Dummett, Isaac Hayden, John Joe Shelby, Joe Willock, Jeff Hendrick, Joe Litton, Ryan Fraser. When you look at that, first of all, where and why is Isaac Hayden over here? Why is Hayden over just protecting Paul Dummett on the left side of midfield? Normally, you would associate Isaac Hayden in around that kind of position where he's sitting in front of the defence, protecting the midfield. But it was very strange. Have a look at it if you don't believe us on WhoScored.com. Hayden was parked just in front of Paul Dummett. Now, we know Paul Dummett is very defensive and he's very good at being that, but going up and down the byline, he's not so, which we've talked about already. Kieran Clark, Lascelles, fine with that. Emil Kraft, a lot more advanced than his opposition. Fullback at Newcastle. Kraft was getting up and down. One thing I have to look at is Shelby. That doesn't surprise me with John Joe Shelby being here. because Shelby likes to get on the ball and dictate it. Joe Willock, that doesn't surprise me massively because in the first half, Joe Willock was literally up here in support, but then he kind of faded off in the second half. So it went a lot more defensive. But check out Jeff Hendrick over on this right-hand side. He was more advanced than Willock, Shelby, and all the fullbacks. But did you see Jeff Hendrick in the game? Because personally, I didn't. He was like a passenger. And I generally thought when I looked at the game and watched the game that Jeff Hendrick was actually here. That's where I thought Jeff Hendrick was. But no, the heat maps which you've seen and the average players suggest that he's over on the right-hand side, but I barely seen him have a kick. He wasn't even an outlet. So we didn't have nothing on that right-hand side. And because Dummett's so defensive, Ryan Fraser was way advanced on the left-hand side, which I don't mind because he's got that license to go and attack. Joe Linton, because of Jeff Hendrick, was pushed when Joe Linton should be here. Joe Linton should be a striker. But because Jeff Hendrick was non-existent in my eyes, Joe Linton's just playing on the average player positions just in front of Jeff Hendrick. And we've seen Joe Linton over on that right-hand side, holding the ball up, doing well. We've seen it with this golden chance when he's running in on goal, when you should have really squared it better to Fraser over here. But, of course, Furlong blocks it. But this is a bit alarming for me, this average players, because this is against a side who are second bottom in the league, and we can't break them down. And if you look at the average positions, we've only got 3, possibly 4 if you include Willock, over the halfway line on average positions. We need more than that if we're going to score goals. We need the fullbacks further up. So let me know what you guys think on the average positions, because this cannot be the case against Aston Villa on Friday night, because we're going to have to start winning games quicker rather than later. We're going to have to be a little bit more brave. If it means that we're vulnerable more so, and our defence is awful, but if it means that we're going to have to allow Jack Grealish the odd occasion to go one-on-one with Emil Kraft or Mankiw if he comes in, then I think you're going to have to take that risk. We've got to start winning games. If we didn't win games, we're going to doing everyone. Yeah, so we are going Dune. That was my take on that as well. Let's have a look what you're saying before we wrap up with the comments as well. Why didn't the team members who had COVID not go to Bruce and spit in his mouth? I didn't even know he was playing, says Dealer. Yeah, that's referring to Jeff Hendrick as well. What team would you play for the Villa game? I think I'll probably be... I wouldn't play Kraft. If you're going to play a right back, I'd probably play Mankiw, and I would personally have Murphy in there ahead of Hendrick. That's got a lot more balance to it than me, because Hendrick was just non-existent, as I say as well. And then Ollie's just kind of agreed there. Surely you've got to start Murphy over Hendrick for the next 2 games as well. Having Jeff Hendrick as like in the team playing with 10 men, he doesn't offer anything else than a 3-yard pass. I mean, he was non-existent, wasn't he? Darren's just went to say maybe we are the best starting with Gale and Carroll, leaving Joe Linton on the bench. We don't have many choices, but we can't sit back like the West Brom game. We've got to get further forward. We're going to have to start taking risks. If that means counter-attacking, then so be it. I think I'd rather run that risk than playing boring and settling for a point. Hughes Hendrick's never been seen or heard that name mentioned by any commentator this season. Got to start Murphy. It's us against the Premier League now. In my opinion, go 4-3-3, says Bernie, with Joe Linton on the right, Gale through the middle. Yeah, and Seth on Twitch has went on to say a split between going for it and losing it by 3-4, risking the odd extra point. Hendrick and Kraft need left out entirely as well. And let's be honest, for the West Brom game, it was a perfect opportunity for Matty Longstaff and Anderson to play fresh legs, stretch the defence, and have some energy in the team. Well, both of them, Matty played the full night against Sunderland in the 1-1 draw with the under-23s on Monday night, which I'll be doing a report on NFTV Extra in a couple of weeks as well. Was Hendrick even on the pitch at all? And why is Hendrick named the Ghost? This is why, says Paul. And Villa don't need Grealish to beat us. Good point, Tony, but the point is that Grealish is due to be coming back from injury, and it would be the tune, wouldn't it? I mean, whether he's on the bench or whether he starts and gets subbed off, I don't know how severe the injury is. We'll find out in a couple of days when Dean Smith has his press conference. But yeah, I just thought, today bring it something a little bit different. I like to use a few props in the virtual whiteboard. Now, the feedback was very much appreciated. If you can smash that like button, you are helping us out, pushing us up the YouTube algorithm. We've got the influencer show tomorrow. It's me, Carl, and Isha tomorrow, talking all things Newcastle, her aspirations on YouTube and her career, and a little bit of fun questions Thursday. We've got the preview coming up, and then Friday night we'll do it all again against Aston Villa. This is a special one for me, Carl, and Sam, because I don't like Aston Villa fans for the way the threat were twice when we nearly, well, the first time we got relegated, the second time it was almost announced. Sam, because his missus is a Villa fan, and Carl just lives around the area because he's going to get stick if Newcastle lose. So it's a big one for us three, no doubt. But yeah, smash that like, leave your comments to the questions I asked you earlier on in the virtual whiteboard. Have a good afternoon, everyone, and a good evening.